The next thing I'm going to talk about is how to pay your subcontractors. And I want to say this one more time. I know I've brought it up in some of the other videos, beating the dead horse, because some of these things are really, really important. Make sure they've got workers' comp and general liability. Call before they start a project and say, hey, is this still active? Because this is important. I don't want you to get fined at the end of the year because they didn't have it and you're on the hook for it, okay? So when you're getting ready to pay your subcontractors, there's a few ways that these guys want to get paid, but I'm going to tell you kind of like on our end, things that's worked for us in the past, things that haven't, and I'm going to kind of let you decide on what you want to do, but I'll give you my advice. All right, so on small jobs, most subs are fine with you paying at the end of the job. So if you're doing residential roofing, once you build a relationship with the roofer, now at first don't be surprised, just like with your supplier, if your roofer's not like, well, before I do any work for you, I want to get paid half up front. And the reason because is everybody hears about homeowners that get screwed over by contractors. Well, what you don't hear about is contractors who get screwed over by homeowners, and what you really don't hear about is subcontractors who go out and get screwed by regular contractors. Because you know what, if they're asking for half up front, it's probably because they've been screwed over in the past, especially if you found out something about these guys and they got good references, they've done projects that you're familiar with, maybe they came as a referral. They've probably been screwed over before and they just don't want to not get paid for any of their work. So they may ask for half up front. And again, this is a kind of a cat and mouse game you play with your subcontracting crews until you establish relationships with people. And this goes for everything that you in your business. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And a lot of times you can get a great referral for a sub crew and they turn over and do a crappy job and they take your money and you're gone. That can happen. So what I recommend is just working with the subcontracting crew, finding out their terms. And again, as you kind of grow as a business, you're going to I recommend getting a contract signed before every single job that goes out. We'll talk about that stuff, later on when we talk about selling your first job. But just having the expectations set with them on how they're getting paid. Now, most subcontracting crews want to get paid with checks. And I know it's frustrating sometimes because if you're a very, forward-thinking company like we are, we want to do things like direct deposit and be able to pay without having to show up. A lot of these guys, they just want to get old school checks. They don't take credit card payments. They don't want you to Venmo business them or PayPal business. They want to get a check, okay? And because they pay a lot of their guys with cash or it's none of your business. But typically the way you're going to do the payment process is, let's kind of go through a project. Again, you sell a roof for $10,000 and let's just say your subcontracting cost is $3,000. So what you may have to do on the first job is write them a check for $1,500 to get the work started, and then $1,500 when it's done. Now, one of the key things is to make sure that they're done with the full project and you've already checked out with the homeowner or business owner before you pay them the full amount. Because if this is the last project you do together and you pay them that last $1,500, I guarantee you they ain't gonna come back and fix anything, and you're gonna have to hire another subcontracting crew to go out and fix their mistakes if they made any. So my recommendation is the first few times that you work with the sub crew, you need to be out there the whole time. You need to be up on the roof with them. You need to make sure they're putting in their 4 to 6 nails per shingle, depending on what they're doing. If they're installing a cool different roofing system like cedar shake or something like that, you start doing right off the bat because you've got some experience. The point is you need to be up there with them and you need to know everything they're doing for all the critical points of that roof. Because when you're starting your business at the beginning, man, like doing your jobs right and making sure that the quality control is on point is key. And then also what that sets is a precedence that you're not going to put up with any crap and you're not going to put up with any bad work. So being up there with your crews and stuff like that is not only ensuring that they get paid properly, but also it's going to make sure the quality control and the quality assurance is held. They know that they're not going to get paid unless they do the job right, because there are crews that will take shortcuts. One of the things that we had in the past is we had a crew, they were a new crew, they'd done some work with us before, but we were out on a job and I had gotten back into my truck and I was getting ready to leave. And I had to take a phone call, and I had my windows down. It's summertime, and I was getting ready to leave. And as you see some projects done, or if you know anything about roofing, you're supposed to hear, in Alabama it was code that you put 4 nails per shingle. So you will hear and that's the nail gun going off as it's shooting nails. Well, I was hearing is they were shooting 2 nails per shingle. Because guess what? They can nail 2 nails per shingle a lot faster than they can do 4 nails. It's not that much faster, for God's sakes. But the point is they were not putting down 4 nails per shingle like they were supposed to be. They were only putting down 2 nails per shingle. And I was about to drive off. If I wouldn't have got that phone call, I wouldn't have heard them. And since they were a new crew, I should have been up there, and I should have made sure, even though they'd done 1 or 2 projects with us, I should have made damn sure that they were doing their job, and they weren't. Because I'll go and tell you, if you put 2 nails per shingle and you allow a crew to do that, you will be back to fix that roof the first bad windstorm that comes through. 4 to 6 nails per shingle. Every shingle manufacturer, 4 to 6 nails per shingle. So those are just little things, and things that, I got lucky that I actually heard that. Now, of course, those guys had to go and tear all those shingles off that I heard. Now, luckily it wasn't that much, but they had to go buy a bundle of shingles, and it came a big deal when I went to pay them. They're like, well, because I subtracted money for it, and it became an issue, and we just never used that crew again. But the point is that helps with your quality insurance and paying your crews. Okay, but after you build a relationship, most of the time, you're going to pay your crews at the end of the job. Now, these are going to be for smaller jobs. Now, as your projects progress and you start doing larger projects, there's going to be opportunities where you're going to have to, pay your crews in progress payments. Like you'll pay them at 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, and then completely done. And part of that is, they have guys to pay too, because most of the time you're writing one large check, you're writing a lump sum, and they've got to pay their guys. And so if you're doing a project that lasts 3 months, they may not have the money to float to pay all their guys. But again, this is building relationships with people. And then, of course, when you get to that point, you're going to have contracts in place, and there's going to be subcontractor agreements and things like that. But talking about payments, don't be surprised, again, if they want a little bit of money up front. Build your relationships with your subcontracting crew. Make sure everybody is on the same page with payments, how much they're getting paid per square or how much they're getting paid per job. And make sure all that's done up front, because you don't want to be worrying about money and who's getting what at the end of the job. All that needs to be kind of discussed up front.